were mine. We played hide and seek for hours.
Back to the homestead. If you're new here, my name is Lynn. Welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I have a little bit of a different video for you all today. I hope you enjoy it. It was a team effort. David also, I didn't ask him to help. He kind of just sort of made his way out to the garage and started helping me. We finished the vintage dresser that we picked up for Aiden off of Facebook Marketplace a couple months ago, and it looks amazing. I am very, very happy with it. I know he's going to be happy with it. It's definitely going to give him more room in his room and hopefully make him a little less messy. I don't know. I think that ship has sailed, but we will see. Right now he's using cubbies with the little cloth cubes to hold things, and it's just not working for him. So so we finished it, but you're going to have to wait to the end to see how it turns out. Now, I am going to be doing some voiceover on this because when we were videoing this, it was over 100 degrees, and my camera, neither my phone camera or my little Sony camera right there in the background, doesn't like the heat, and it was not working. It would shut off. So I would have to kind of, take a quick few clips with my phone holding it and do it that way. So we're going to have to do a little bit of voiceover today. And did I mention I'm excited for you all to see this? I think it turned out pretty well. I'm going to show you everything we used to refinish this dresser. It's still kind of hard to find out exactly how old this dresser is, but the lady we bought it from, it was her grandfather's, and the lady that we bought it from was probably maybe in her 60s. And the company went out of business in 1974, so 50 years ago, year I was born. So at the very least, it's 50 years old, but I think it's much older. She said it was her grandfather's when he was little. So very vintage, which makes me just very, very happy. The little bit of footage I wasn't able to get was us trying to get the musty smell out. We had the hose going, and I didn't want to risk getting any of my equipment wet, but I just did use Dawn dish soap, the spray, the power wash, and we let that soak for a while. And then I literally took the hose because my friend Sean from She's in Her Element, I'm going to link her YouTube channel down below. She does the most amazing refinishing on furniture. You have to go see it. It will blow your mind. She was a big help. I kind of bugged her a little bit, making sure that I wanted to make this right, and to show her what I got, because I was pretty excited to show her we got it. Should I mention we only paid $30 also for this dresser with the mirror, which I thought was a very good deal. And the smell did come out. I let that Dawn power wash sit for quite a few minutes, and then sprayed it all down, let it dry in the sun, separate. All the drawers from the dresser itself, they all dried separate. And then once we knew it was good and dry, we started to sand. Actually, before sanding, we had just a little bit of repairs, nothing major that we had to do first.
I'm making little bumpers for the drawers so they can't fall all the way out.
Because there used to be something, we think, because of these right here that kept the drawers from coming out. They replaced the missing one. There's one missing with the nail. We're hoping we can maybe find something like this, similar, or David can maybe make something just so it's a little bit better than this nail. Okay, so you cut out just, what is it, a piece of plywood?
No, it's a piece of trim.
Trim, okay. And you got some grooves here. Oh, that fits in perfect. Great. We have to do that to all three drawers?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And the mirror, they just held together with some, honestly, I think this was some kind of nylon rope. And we knew we wanted to fix it so we wouldn't have to have the rope holding the mirror. And they also had a pin, a writing pin, holding that mirror. So we knew we needed to take a few things apart before we started sanding and priming it. And we knew we were going to replace this backing. That will be coming later in the video. And it was just a little bit banged up, and honestly it was falling apart, and this was what was underneath the bottom of that backing. So I think they just kept that to make that a little bit tighter. David's going to build something better to hold the mirror in place. Now the piece that holds the mirror to the dresser, it had just come separated a little bit, so David just put a little bit of his wood glue in the crack and then just took the hammer and gently pounded it till it went together, and it actually ended up fixing both sides because both of these sides were apart. And just by tapping in the one side, both sides end up going together. So that was a nice little bonus. And this was not a major fix. It was just from time. And then it was time to sand. So we just were, like I said, we didn't need to go right down to the bare wood. We just needed to rough it up. But where there was this weird lacquer, I think, over the stain that was just very difficult, especially in the more intricate parts of the mirror. So I just got a wire brush and this worked perfectly. As you can see, this lacquer was just flaking off and started peeling away, but that was the toughest part of sanding this whole piece, was this weird lacquer finish that was on there that just did not want to rough up at all. And I wasn't trying to get every single piece of it off, but I knew I needed to get a majority off so the primer could stick to this nicer and give us a better paint job in the end. So once the sanding was done on everything, the dresser, the drawers, the mirror holder, I gave them all a good wipe down a couple of times to make sure there was no dust, and I am going to start using my Benjamin Moore primer that I had tinted gray. Tinting it gray helps make your colors just pop better. That's a little tip I learned from Sean from She's in Her Element. And I have to say, this is the best primer I have ever used for painting. It stuck to this dresser beautifully. One coat, we did everything, just one coat was all we needed, and then we let this cure for a full 24 hours before we put any paint. I should have mentioned that this restoration was over several days. This wasn't all done in one day. This was done over several days, so everybody got one coat of the primer. So after 24 hours, it was time to start painting with the actual color. We're using the Fusion Mineral Paint in Ash. This is amazing paint. I actually used this to paint our front door. It's 4 or 5 years ago, and the front door looks as good as the day I painted it. And this is going to end up taking 2 coats. After 2 coats of paint on everything, we're also going to let this cure for 24 hours before we put our protective coating over it. That's where I hit my next little snag, is with the protective coating. Nothing too major, but definitely something that was a little frustrating. So my plan was to use this matte finish polyurethane. I've used it many, many times. It goes on milky but dries clear, and matte, which is what we wanted. But when I started brushing it on, it started reacting, I'm not sure, to the mineral paint maybe, but it started to, do this weird skin kind of film. That's what I'm looking for. It kind of gave like a film and it was peeling off, so I had to wipe it all off. Luckily it was still damp, and go to what was originally the plan, but I just thought it was going to cost so much to spray paint it with my protectant. I prefer to spray paint the protectant. I feel it goes on much better and gives you a better finish. But luckily I had half a can still in my stash. We did have to stop and go buy another can, but with the coupon at Michael's, it ended up only being $11. So actually it ended up being pretty good. So I ended up going with my original plan, which was spray painting the protectant coating on. And if you do any kind of spray painting, you need that little nozzle thing that goes on the can. It makes spray painting so easily. So I did give everything probably more coats than I needed, but at least everything got at least 3 coats. So after the clear coat all dried, it was time to make a template for the new backing David was making to hold this mirror into the holder and just not only look nicer, but definitely make sure this isn't going to fall out. So he just traced from the old pattern there, that old piece of, it was some kind of flake board or something. Let me tell you, this stuff was hard to cut, as you'll see in a second. So David just measured everything 3 times like he always does and then just did a quick sketch of where he made each little mark. And he attempted to try to cut it out with his utility knife, and when I tell you this stuff was not cutting, I am not kidding. This was tough, thick flake board. David said it just wasn't going to work. So he decided to take it over to his grinder, and that was very fast. He also wore a mask and goggles while doing this, safety first. Plus the smell that was coming off of this was horrendous, and the dust that was flying off was pretty bad. But this made quick work of this flake board. It ground it right down to the exact size he needed, and it sanded it at the same time, so it actually saved us another step. So now everything was all cut out, including the plywood that I showed you earlier, that big piece of plywood. And let me tell you, that was hard to find. This is another reason it took a couple days, because we wasted a day and a half trying to find a hardware store who had what we needed, but luckily we finally found it. So David's just placing the mirror back in here, which I have not cleaned at this point yet. It definitely needs a good cleaning, but he was going to be touching it so much there was no sense cleaning it right now. And we are still using the old backing, but he cut it. This is why he was cutting it, so it fits right into the grooves better, and we wouldn't have to nail this part into the wood. It snapped right in perfectly. He cut that, measured that beautifully. This is why he measures 3 times and it snapped right in. But this is when we hit our next little snafu with this vintage dresser reno. So we have this nice beautiful piece of plywood that we're going to put on the back, and we had bought 3/4 inch nails, which is what we measured what we needed. But let me tell you, the wood that this dresser and mirror are made out of is beautiful wood, but it is the thickest, hardest wood we have ever worked with. These little nails would not go through, and we didn't want to pound too hard because we didn't want to break the mirror, but they just would not go through. David even tried his nail gun, and that didn't work. So now we have to go to plan, I think at this point, C or D or E or F, I'm not even sure anymore, and we're going to use no clamp glue, but we are still using clamps to hold this here. And of course, because our garage is an absolute mess and disaster right now, we couldn't find all of our clamps at first, so we only had 2 here right now, and we're going to end up using paint cans to hold this board down until it's fully secured and dried. So it'll be another 24 hours before we can attach this mirror back to its holder and back to the dresser and put it in Aiden's room so he can get his clothes put into the drawers. As you can see, we're just laying it down here. I held it for a little bit just to make sure, I was making sure that we were in the right spot. And this glue is amazing. We have used it many times on wood projects, and we had just enough. I thought, are we going to have to wait again and run to the store? But we had just enough for this project. I think for Christmas this year, for David's stocking, I am putting clamps and wood glue in his stocking. So yes, we used 2 clamps and a bunch of paint cans, and then later David actually found the rest of his clamps, and this did end up getting 4 clamps all together clamped on it until it dries. And I also put an old, it's actually a baby receiving blanket that I picked up at a thrift store. They make great rags. I put that down first just because I was worried about the paint finish getting dinged up. So it's been 24 hours. We are going to take off the clamps, and I'm pretty sure it's dry. We good? Oh gosh, yeah. I don't think that's going anywhere. Hopefully we didn't damage the... Oh no. What's that? No. Okay. We are going to have to fix that. That's from the clamps. So I just sanded up, roughed that up a little bit where they left the marks. Rookie mistake. We should have put like something, a rag or something here first because it was too freshly painted, plus the protectant. And I think I have just enough little protectant that I can spray it over this little spot. As I said, the mirror is filthy. I'm just going to paint over those few spots. And considering it's almost 100 degrees out, it won't take long to dry. And then David can get this attached to that. So underneath all that dirt was shellac. So we've done the best we can. Like we already noticed we were kind of causing a little some scratches. I don't know if you can see that right there. Yeah. Right there. So we stopped and I just cleaned it as best we could. The mirror is as old as the dresser, so I'm gonna leave it, and I think it looks pretty good. I mean, that's part of the charm. Now we were ready to attach the mirror to the holder, and we bought a couple of different hinges, and we ended up deciding on the straight flat hinge. Definitely worked much better than the one that had a bend in it, and it was just a matter of attaching them to the mirror. One final step, the mirror frame. We had to attach that to the dresser, and we are ready to unveil. The dresser is done. I'm going to go into Aiden's room and show you the finished dresser. I am really happy with it. It turned out better than I hoped. Fits in Aiden's room perfectly. He has a little bit more room, and it forced him to clean his room up a bit, which is another plus. So, are you ready? There it is. I think it turned out amazing. Don't mind the mess over there. That's his desk. But it turned out really, really nice. I think David and I did a great job. And this mirror, you no longer will be able to tilt it, but he doesn't need it to tilt anyway. And he almost fits in it. Right, Aiden? He's almost tall enough. He does have to crouch down a little bit, but he's almost 6'1". So what do you expect? But that is it. That is finished. Probably one of the easier reno projects, David, that we've done. Really?
Sure, we'll say that.
I mean, there was only a couple of hiccups, really, and they weren't even that major. So I'm going to say it was one of the easiest ones. So there we are, our vintage dresser for Aiden's room. Hopefully this will help him keep his clothes more organized. He's right behind the camera, and I'm looking at him as I'm saying this to you. So hopefully this will keep him more organized. It's funny because him and Grace are at the opposite ends of OCD. She is an absolute neat freak, always has been, and Aiden, he knows where everything is in his mess, and he doesn't like it if you mess with things because then his OCD acts up. But it's amazing how two kids in the same family are so different. But yeah, so hopefully this will help him, and it just definitely gives him more room. Those cubbies just weren't working. We have tried so many things for organization for the kids, and I'm hoping having a dresser again that works, and knowing how old it is, and I hope the people we got it from are happy that it's now gone in and gotten loved, and it will be very well appreciated, and it's no longer down in their musty basement or garage, and because it was really bothering her to sell this because it was her grandfather's. So hopefully we've done it justice. That's it, friends. Until then, take care, God bless, and we'll see y'all soon.